Previously I showed you how to import CSV files. We imported this quarterly file that had data in those in a transposed format, and then I used that to create these series and this report. What I want to show you now is some of the advanced features that are available when importing CSV data. And I'm going to do that using this file. It's also a simple CSV file that contains time series data, as you can see. First column contains the date in some date format. This is followed by CPI and PPI in columns. Here it uses the comma as decimal separator. Okay, so now I'm going to drop that file into the simulator, which is the same as if you opened it on your device using FTM. Let me grab the file and drop it in. And this screen pops up. I could rename it or import it or discard it. For now I'm just going to click back and that will import it. Okay, and there's nothing here, but if I go back to the main screen, you will see that that data file has been added to my local CSV library. And it's now part of my CSV library. Okay, so let me add some CSV files. You can see Q is still there, the file I added previously, but now data also shows up. So let me select data, and then I'm going to configure it for usage here. It uses a tab separator, but the decimal separator is a comma. It's not transposed, but the frequency is monthly, and you can see it's year, month, date. So let me change the format to year, month, date. For the date column, the names are in the first row, so that's fine. The rest I'm going to just leave as is. Okay, so now FTM imported it. There's CPI and PPI, and I'm going to add those two to my project. Here you can see the new series were added. They are marked as new, and now I'm going to use PPI to create the report. So let me just drag it into the drop location, and there's the new report. You can see there's the plot and the data. Everything looks fine. Okay, so let's say that now I'm going to update the data. At the moment the data ends in 2001, so let's add some observation for 2002. I've got a lot of simulated observations here, so let's pretend that you get the data from an external source and it was updated, or maybe you maintain it yourself and you updated the data. What I'm going to do here is just to append this to the CSV. So let me append the 2002, save it, and then I need to drop it into the device again. So let's do that, and now you will see that I'm asked if I want to update the local file. I could also discard this update or rename it to something else to keep it and not interfere with the regional, but I want to update. So let me update the local file or the regional file. And if you go to the CSV library, you will see that date and the size have changed. Okay, so let's go back to the project. Now, if I look at PPI, nothing has changed yet. The data still ends in 2001. So it's not yet been updated. Also in the report, it still ends in 2001. But let me go back to the Add button, and there I select Update All Data. If I update all data, then it will update all the data stored locally in the project, and it will also update the report. So if I hit Proceed here, you will see both CPI and PPI have been updated with 12 new observations. I note that CPI and PPI are marked as new, and if I open the report, I see that the new data has been added to it. Also, this time around, there's a lightning bolt showing up, which draws my attention to the fact that the data that I used to create this report has now changed. The log here, if I click on the bolt, will show me that there was some observations added to PPI, and you can see in the report also that the new observations were added. The reason the sample of the table and the plot was changed is because previously the table and the plot ended on a data boundary. Now that boundary has changed with the addition of the new data, and therefore the table and the plot will also be changed. It will follow that boundary, and you can see that it now extends to 2002. Okay, so that's how I could update it. Just to show you a little bit more about this, let's just change one of the properties. Maybe I want to change the aggregation of PPI from none to, let's say, the average. If I then go back to the report, I will also see the lightning bolt to show me that the series property has changed, as it says there in the log. In this case, it doesn't change anything. The report is still the same as before, because in this report I set the aggregation explicitly here. So here the aggregation was set, and if I change it for PPI, it doesn't change what I use in the report. But keep in mind, the lightning bolt tells me if something has changed, and I need to inspect the report again to make sure I'm happy with the changes. Okay, so let's go back. Now you see there's no bolt if I return to the report. Now there were no changes made, and the report simply shows up as is without the lightning bolt. Okay, so let's discuss some of the other advanced features. What if I did not want to update PPI? I've got some new data, and I want to update the project with that, but I want to exclude PPI from that update, for example. How do I do that? Well, there's more than one way in which you could do it, but let me show you one. So let's open up PPI, and you will see here there's an option to exclude it from the update. If I switch this on, PPI will be excluded from the next update and future updates. And now let me illustrate that. Let's go back to the CSV, and let's add the data for 2003. It's now up to 2002, so let's add 2003's data. Let's append it to the report, the CSV file as before, and save it. And then I'm going to drop that into the device again. Update the local file, and again, nothing's been updated yet, only the file has been updated, as you can see here. Okay, so let's go back to the report. Remember that one has been set to be excluded from the update, but if I select update all data, it will update all the CSV files, but it will not update PPI. If I just to illustrate CPI at the moment, let me add CPI as well to the report, and here you can see CPI and PPI both end in 2002 at the moment. Okay, so let's go back, let's update everything. Remember, PPI will be excluded from this update. So CPI will be updated, and all other CSVs, but PPI was excluded. CPI's got 12 new observations, PPI was excluded, and if I go to the report, you can see, well, CPI shows that it's been updated, and if I go to the report, you can see that there's a new line for CPI, but the top part for that is blank. That's where PPI would have appeared. If I look at the plot, you can also see that CPI now extends into 2003, but PPI remains as is, because it was excluded from the data. Okay, so that's how you can exclude a series from an update. But I want to show you now another way in which you can retain data. And again, I'm going to use PPI for that. Okay, the way to do that is to create a duplicate of PPI. So I'm going to create a duplicate of PPI, but first let me switch off the exclusion. So from now on, PPI will update, when I do the next update, PPI will be updated as well. Okay, so let's make a copy of PPI. I select the select button. Let me do it slowly. I select that button. Then I select PPI and I hit the duplicate button. That will create a duplicate copy of PPI, as you can see here. And this is a copy, an exact copy of PPI, but it's not a live copy. So next time I update data, PPI will update, but not this stagnant one over here. This is a stagnant copy of the original, and it will not change anymore. It sort of represents a copy in time of PPI, and I can use it as a reference for that PPI at that point. Okay, and I will make that clear in this demonstration by also adding the stagnant PPI to the report. As you can see, I dragged it in there, and it was also added to the report. There's now 3 lines, one for PPI, CPI, and one for the stagnant PPI. Doesn't show up on the plot because it's underneath the proper PPI, but let's do a few interesting things. First, let me remove the stagnant PPI from the table. The table is getting a bit busy, so I want to clean it up. So let me remove PPI, both the levels and the accumulation switched off now. And for the plot, let's also change it a bit. But before I do that, let me go back to the data. And what I'm going to do now is to drag the stagnant PPI to the top so that it appears first. That's to get the plot right, so it appears in the plot. So I'm dragging it up here. Just to confirm, it's still switched off. The levels and the accumulations are switched off. Okay, let's go to the plot. Now I want to change it a bit. That's the proper one. There's the stagnant PPI, which shows up in blue. Levels and accumulations are still plotted. And I want to change the formatting a little bit. So let's change this blue line to make it a bit thicker. Okay. Let's do the same for the accumulation. I also want to plot the accumulation a little bit thicker. But instead of using the slide, I'm going to use an exact value like that. Okay, so this looks a bit funny because it ends in the same point more or less. But you have the blue stagnant PPI now being plotted on top of the original one. You can't see the original one because it's underneath the stagnant one. There's the label. I also want to remove this label. So let me go back to the formatting. And I'm going to remove that label over here. Let me just take out that label. Okay. Now the label's removed. If you go back to the accumulation, it doesn't have a label. So if I update the plot now, you will see the labels removed. Okay, so the label no longer shows up in the plot. And this worked because I know this PPI was the stagnant one. Maybe I should have changed the name. If I change the name, then I could see that in the report. Maybe PPI 0 or PPI stagnant or maybe the date. Then it would also be easy to do this. Okay, so let me update the data. I go here, proceed, and you can see this time around PPI was updated. Remember, it's no longer excluded from the update, but the stagnant PPI was not changed at all. Okay, so let's go back to the report. And now in the report, you can see the red, the extended PPI. PPI was updated, but the blue stagnant PPI did not change. It remained the same. So this opens up a lot of possibilities. I could, for example, use this approach to differentiate between in-sample and forecast values, or maybe between revisions, because the stagnant PPI it's linked to that PPI at a certain point in time, but it doesn't update anymore. Well, that's it. I've shown you how to update data, how to exclude data from updates, how to make stagnant copies of data. If you've got any questions, leave them below. See you next time.